Good evening and welcome to the English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. I believe you had a productive Monday. We'll begin with the top stories of the day. On Monday, Rwanda's Senate President received Ukrainian ambassador to Rwanda for talks focused on strengthening bilateral ties. Traders urge unified AFCFTA policies to boost Africa's coffee and tea sectors. On the international scene, the death toll from devastating flash floods in central Texas has risen to 82 as rescuers and heartbroken families continue searching for the missing. My name is Olive Nathan. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. Now let's kick off today's edition. Senate President Dr. Kalinda François-Xavier received the ambassador of Ukraine to Rwanda, Mr. Vyacheslav Yatsuk, for discussions aimed at strengthening cooperation in bilateral relations between the Rwandan and Ukrainian Senates. We have more in these details.
The talks focused on strengthening collaboration in areas such as education, agriculture, trade, and technology, as explained by the Senate President, Dr. François-Xavier Kalinda.
As a parliament, we discuss matters related to the relationship between the legislative bodies of both countries. He told us that Ukraine is ready to collaborate with us, not only at the parliament level, but also at the government level. He mentioned their willingness to work with us in various areas, including agriculture, nuclear energy for electricity generation, education, and technology.
The ambassador of Ukraine to Rwanda, Mr. Vyacheslav Yatsuk, said the visit aims to exchange ideas and reinforce cooperation between the two senates in advancing partnerships across various sectors.
Rwanda achieved very important results in many areas of economic life, of establishing a resilient society, and Ukraine can offer a lot to Rwanda in many sectors, in agriculture, in nuclear energy, in the useful of drones for peaceful purposes, in the ICT sector, and I can read to the leadership of the Senate interest of Ukraine for a stronger engagement between our parliaments. Interparliamentary cooperation plays uniquely important role in interstate relations. It helps to find new avenues for cooperation, to strengthen cooperation, already existing cooperation, and I kindly asked the Speaker of the Parliament, Vice Speakers of the Parliament, to help even more with strengthening this interparliamentary cooperation.
As part of its effort to deepen ties with Rwanda, Ukraine recently officially opened its embassy in Kigali. The new Ukrainian ambassador began his duties in Rwanda in April 2024. Enora Gladys, RTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for the details. Now moving ahead, the Ministry of Youth and Arts says the Rwanda Youth Tour program aimed at educating Rwandan youth living abroad has yielded tangible results, including new investments initiated by some of the participants. Adam Squizera has more on this.
Launched in 2021, the Rwanda Youth Tour program targets Rwandan youth aged between 18 to 35 living in the diaspora. Participants are taken through Rwanda's history and exposed to various opportunities for investment in their home country. Kalexi Musinga Detien, a participant from an earlier edition of the tour, returned to Rwanda just a year later and went on to establish a construction company.
I did the last edition, so I had planned to move back in Rwanda last year, and I wanted to do the Rwanda Youth Tour to realize how the country has changed, because I've been living in Rwanda a long time ago, but I left more than 8 years ago. So I came here to also see what's changing, how is it changing, and to understand better the opportunities here. So yeah, I came back from Montreal, but before that I was also living in Brussels. So I also discovered Europe, America, and I really wanted to come back home because here is home. And yeah, I wanted to invest in my country. Working here is different because I feel like I'm home. I'm doing something for my country, not only for money or for a career. I'm also helping to build the country. So that's why I wanted to invest here.
While this is the 5th edition, many of the participants say one of the most important aspects of the program is learning the history of Rwanda and discovering the opportunities available for youth, which they can tap into.
And we are here to learn more about our country, about our history, about our culture, but also to connect all together.
State Minister in the Ministry of Youth and Arts, Sandrine Umutoni, says that the program plays a critical role in educating youth about Rwanda's historical context.
Do not hesitate to ask questions to the different institutions that you meet, the different partners. Be very curious. Don't hesitate to also challenge the point of view that are being shared with you.
Virgil Rwanyagatare, Director General for Asia, the Pacific and Middle East in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, says that each of the 4 previous editions of this program has delivered results, with some youth returning home to start businesses that are now employing Rwandans.
Also, what we have experienced from these young ladies and boys, it's that their contribution is very remarkable in various areas where we have them in investment in the country. We are here at North Toxton where they have startup companies. We have them in other institutions. Some of them have started business. There is one who just gave him his testimony about how he experienced Rwanda and how far he has come, and now he has managed to open his own infrastructure company, construction company. So you can see that they are so much interested in.
The youth participating in this 5th edition of Rwanda Youth Tour came from 7 countries: Belgium, Canada, the UK, the US, Italy, Senegal, and Uganda. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
To more news, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization has commended Rwanda for its efforts in promoting the Swahili language, especially in the education sector. This was highlighted during the celebration of the International Day of Swahili Language, which was held in Kigali, Rwanda. We have details. This marked the 4th time the International Day of Swahili Language was celebrated since its establishment by UNESCO in 2022, and the first time it was hosted in Rwanda. According to the 2022 census, 58,000 Rwandans aged 15 and above can read and write in Swahili. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Claudette Irere, expressed confidence that ongoing education reforms will help increase this number in the coming years.
Rwanda recognizes the importance of Kiswahili in achieving inclusive and equitable education. Our government made a decision in 2017 to designate Kiswahili as one of the official languages of the country, alongside Kinyarwanda, English, and French. This move was not just symbolic, it was a deliberate decision not only to position Rwanda within the East African community and the wider African linguistic landscape, but also to build African solidarity and fraternity. In the education sector, we have taken several steps to integrate Kiswahili meaningfully. In curriculum integration, Kiswahili is a mandatory subject in lower secondary curricula. In upper secondary, learners who choose language pathways learn Kiswahili. In teacher training, we have invested in the training of teachers in Kiswahili through our teacher training colleges and in-service professional development. This ensures that Kiswahili is taught not only correctly, but with cultural richness and relevance. In higher education and research, Rwandan universities have introduced Kiswahili as an academic discipline, and research in Kiswahili literature and linguistics is gaining momentum. In collaboration and regional integration, we're working closely with the EAC Secretariat and partner states to harmonize Kiswahili language standards and share educational resources and support joint teacher development programs. And as we look towards the future, Rwanda reaffirms its commitment to advancing Kiswahili in education, business, diplomacy, and cultural pride. We envision a generation of young Africans who can dream, innovate, and collaborate across borders using a language that is truly their own. Let us all continue to champion Kiswahili, not only as a language, but as a symbol of African resilience, unity, and innovation.
Currently, Swahili is among the 10 most spoken languages in the world, especially across the African continent. Between 150 and 200 million people are estimated to speak the language. Albert Mutesa, Secretary General at the Rwanda National Commission for UNESCO, called on countries to recognize the importance of Swahili and promote its use as a tool for advancing development across the continent.
As we celebrate this fourth World Swahili Language Day, let us reiterate our collective responsibility to, 1, to promote Swahili in education system to ensure no one is left behind. 2, support multilingual policies that recognize Swahili role in the region and global discourse. 3, invest in digital resources to make Swahili accessible in the digital age. And 4, celebrate Swahili culture richness through art, media, and intercultural dialogue. UNESCO commend the government of Rwanda and the Eastern African community for their leadership in advancing Swahili legacy and future. Together, we can ensure that this vibrant language continue to inspire unity, creativity, and sustainable progress for generations to come.
This year's celebration highlighted the role of Swahili in promoting inclusive education and sustainable development. Rwanda officially adopted Swahili as its 4th national language in 2017, alongside Kinyarwanda, English, and French. Now moving ahead, coffee and tea farmers and traders in Africa say that the African Continental Free Trade Area would boost the value of these crops if countries strengthened trade cooperation. This was discussed during the Africa Tea and Expo, currently taking place in Kigali. We have details. Agriculture experts highlight that African coffee farmers receive about $6 per kilogram, while processed coffee sold back in Africa can cost up to $250 per kilogram. They believe the common market could address this pricing imbalance.
And all other factors relating to coffee and tea industries can be held at an intra-African trade platform level from a Pan-African perspective. So if we can have free movement of goods and services, if we can have free trade between African countries, we have the consumers and the growers. Why should the growers export to Europe and consumers buy from Europe when they can buy from the same growers within the same Pan-African framework of African trade market and platform? So today is a breaking ground for us where we are going to establish an everlasting solution and a platform where we can exchange and have way forward to solving these issues from a Pan-African free trade perspective.
Eric Rwigamba, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, stressed the need for swift and practical solutions to the challenges facing coffee and tea farming and trade.
Coffee and tea exhibition is not just a showcase. It's not an event. It's not a tourist event. It is a strategic opportunity to elevate Africa's agricultural brand on the international stage and reinforce our commitment to inclusive and sector-led growth. Buyers of African coffee and tea, it's always an opportunity when we see you on the ground and we have an opportunity to engage with our producers. Let's have the discussion. Let's deal with issues that could be a challenge.
While Africans have often been criticized for consuming little of the coffee and tea they produce, exhibitors from across Africa noted a growing appreciation and uptake of these beverages across the continent.
We expect people to like what we brought today because it's a very rich flavor, and it's from the heart of Sidama. It's one of the coffee-rich areas back from Ethiopia. Coffee culture is very entrenched in the Ethiopian culture itself. So people usually tend to gather their communities over an Ethiopian coffee ceremony. So usually you'd have it from the morning up to the nighttime sometimes. And people say it's also the birthplace of coffee as well.
The Africa and Tea Expo is expected to result in the signing of over 50 trade agreements aimed at expanding coffee and tea exports to global markets. In Rwanda alone, coffee supports the livelihoods of approximately 400,000 farmers, while tea farming sustains around 50,000 farmers. Now to the education sector, the Ministry of ICT and Innovation has unveiled plans to integrate specialized technology-related training into this year's Intore mu Biruhuko Youth Program, aiming to empower participants with essential digital skills. We have the details. The program is designed to equip young people with knowledge, instill positive values, and strengthen their understanding of their role in shaping Rwanda's future. Participating students have also called for greater inclusion, urging that the program be made accessible to peers living with disabilities.
Disabilities must be taken care of because they face a kind of discrimination in the society, so they must be taken care of. So based on my opinion, I would advise the government of Rwanda to deal with those problems that disabled people face with, like toilet, and other kinds of support from providers.
Messiah Thomas of the National Youth Council affirms that the Intore mu Biruhuko program will extend to the grassroots level, ensuring that no young person is left behind.
We have a program, Youth in Holidays program, that has been happening since 2012, but this year it is so unique. We have prepared sites from the cell level where youth based on their age, 10 to 13 having one group, 14 to 16, 17 having another group, and then 17 above also having another group, into dialogues about patriotism, how they can use and maximize opportunities that are intended for them.
Eugene Twagirimana from the National Union of Disability Organizations in Rwanda emphasizes that fostering interaction between young people with disabilities and their peers helps build confidence and a sense of inclusion.
What we expect from this program is to see children and youth with disabilities coming together with other children without disabilities. Because you know from the history, children and youth with disabilities used to feel as isolated. So when they are given such opportunity to be together with other children, they feel valued. They feel like other children without disabilities, because they are given opportunities and the space to share their knowledge, to share their dreams for the future. And then those children without disabilities, they are also given the opportunities to learn about the needs of their fellows with disabilities, so that they kind of feel as partners to build an inclusive society.
According to the Director General of Digital Talent and Skills Development at the Ministry of ICT and Innovation, Darlene Gatesi, this year's Intore mu Biruhuko program will include targeted technology training to empower youth with practical digital competences.
The programs cut across the basics, the intermediate, and the advanced digital skills. There is going to be basics like how to turn off your computer, how to stay safe online, the different digital tools that we use in our daily lives. And then we have the advanced like data analysis. What is data analysis? What is cybersecurity? And then we have the advanced that is for professionals.
Launched in 2012, the Intore mu Biruhuko program will run this year from July 21st to September 29th.
precious moments. Laying hooks. Giving away. Making moves. Breakfast with family. Inyanje is always there. Whatever the occasion, whatever the moment, always ask for Inyanje.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo agira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njye muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Muyobozi wa sosiyete, turakwibutsa ko buri sosiyete isabwa n'itegeko kubika ibitabo bya sosiyete ndetse no gushyikiriza RDB amakuru abikubiyemo. Ibyo bitabo birimo igitabo cy'abanyamigabane, icy'abagenewe inyungu ku migabane, inyandiko y'amakuru ya sosiyete, ibaruramari ngarukamwaka n'izindi. Gutanga amakuru y'ugenewe inyungu ku migabane wanyura kuri bo.rdb.rw, naho gutanga izindi nyandiko ukanyura kuri org.rdb.rw.
You're still watching RTV News. Now to matters making headlines globally. The death toll from devastating flash floods in central Texas has risen to 82 as rescuers and heartbroken families continue to search for the missing, including young girls, and a camp counselor swept away from Olga summer camp on the Guadalupe River. We have details with Al Jazeera.
Authorities say the River Guadalupe was at roof level here at Camp Mystic. Inside these dormitory buildings, we're told the water rose to almost 2 meters in the early hours of Friday morning. Other communities along the river were evacuated after the National Weather Service sent out repeated warnings about the rising water levels. But there are still no answers as to why those here weren't alerted.
Why that information didn't get down to camps and why they weren't evacuated. Can you answer that now?
That is a great question, but again, we want to make sure that we continue to focus. We still have 11 missing children that we want to get reunited with our families. Until we can get reunited with our families, we are not going to stop. We are not going to stop until we do.
President Donald Trump has signed a federal emergency declaration that will now unlock government funds for relief and recovery in the region. However, he's made it clear in the past that he wants to phase out such aid, even once saying that if a state governor needs to ask for federal emergency help, perhaps they're not up to the job. The Trump administration has also made clear it wants to phase out research and analysis of the changing climate because it feels it's politicized and divisive. But it's exactly that sort of analysis that led to the warnings from the National Weather Service to municipal authorities to evacuate residents up and down the Guadalupe River.
Without research, without staff to do the work, we can assume that the predictions, and not just hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, drought, wildfires, tsunamis, for that matter, are undoubtedly going to degrade. And that means that people's ability to prepare for these storms will be compromised.
Climate scientists have long warned that warmer air will hold more moisture and result in ever more intense storms. Yet just as their predictions are being realized, federal resources to predict, mitigate and manage extreme weather events are at risk as never before. Shia Bertansi, Al Jazeera, Hunt, Texas.
And this report brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin, but before we leave, a reminder of the top stories that made the edition. On Monday, Rwanda's Senate President received Ukrainian ambassador to Rwanda for talks focused on strengthening bilateral ties. Traders urge unified AFCFTA policies to boost Africa's coffee and tea sectors. And on the international scene, the death toll from devastating flash floods in central Texas has risen to 82. And that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Wish you a fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.
Abashuje mbifuriza n'ikaze nshuti bakunzi b'amakuru y'iteganyagihe